maybe first. That way we can get out there and address it and solve it. And the more we work together, the better off we'll be. Unfortunately, we can't be in your neighborhood at all times. I wish we could, but we are kind of pulled in different areas. So if you help us out with that, when you see something, make sure you give us a call. And that way the bad guys know that people are watching and paying attention out there. And another thing I'm going to touch on, make sure we're locking doors, not leaving firearms in there. I know you've heard me say that, but I will continue to say that. We've had an instance not long ago where we got pretty lucky as a police department, where a young man was running from an officer and he turned around and went to fire a weapon and it clicked 3 times. He did not have a round in the chamber, fortunately, so we literally dodged a bullet on that one. So that was just a couple weeks ago. So that was a stolen firearm in a juvenile's possession. That was 3 counts of attempted assault with a deadly weapon. So, yeah, what's that?
Where's he now?
He was in a secure facility for juveniles right now. But I'm just saying that to touch on the importance of securing these firearms. We're getting too many stolen out of unlocked vehicles. So please pass that word along. Does anyone? Yes, sir.
Just a question. If it's an unlocked vehicle and there's a firearm in it, isn't that a violation?
So
Is it supposed to be locked up if they're in public?
in your house, yes. Like if a child gets access to it there. The problem there is, I like where your head's at, and I've had that thought in my head before as well. Unfortunately, if you were to charge somebody for having their firearm stolen out of their car, if it was stolen out of their car and they were going to get in trouble, they would probably not call and report it stolen. So you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, but can you identify the owner of the firearm if it's been fired?
So a firearm, the pistol permit, if it's registered, and there's history of it there, yes. And there's a whole big process when it comes to evidence and that sort of thing. But when it comes to the security of the vehicle, I appreciate where you're going, and like I said, I've thought the same thing before too. But that's kind of where we're at with that. Does anybody else have a question or anything? Question? No? Good to see you, sir.
This isn't really a question, but just, and I'm not really sure whether the corner of Glasscock and Brookside is in Northeast or downtown, but the restaurant at that corner is vacant, and there's a lot of stuff they left outside on the patio, you know, and I'd hate for it all disappear, you know, so.
You said
maybe-
Glasscock and Brookside. Do you
Yeah.
remember the name of that restaurant off the top of your head?
Atamai, I think is.
Okay.
Changed quite a bit
Yeah.
last year.
Oh,
Yeah, it changes pretty regularly.
I reached out to the owner. I actually know the owner of the building.
Oh.
And I had a meeting with him, and he's trying to find someone to come in to the space.
What about cleaning it up?
Well, the owner left. I know the backstory of why the owner left. So it was some personal family issues. But they're trying to find a new place. But I mentioned it to him about cleaning up. Otherwise, it's more code enforcement than RPD. So we'll follow up with. I'll talk to the owner first, and then I'll talk to code enforcement second.
Yeah, I just maybe.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all can keep an eye on them.
Sure.
Just a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you ever see something like that, again, you can send me an email or let me know, and I'll look into it and get it to where it needs to be. But if you don't have my email, or if anybody would like it, it's Eric, ERIC, .Hinton, HINTON, at RaleighNC.gov. So you can reach out to me anytime. And my phone number is 919-996-1206. So if you ever have anything, just give me a shout and I'll follow up on it and get back to you as soon as I can. Again, I'm a one-person squad though, so go easy on me. But happy to help you all anytime I can though.
All the squads are one person?
Well, we're working on filling. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So we're working on backfilling. It's more 911 call driven is the priority. So, again, we're getting more people, which is great. We're trying to backfill, and so I can do more to help you all.
I'm sorry, Eric Hinton at
RaleighNC.gov. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So, I mean, in the news recently, it seems like maybe it's just being reported, but it just seems like there's an uptick of juveniles getting their hands on weapons.
I would say the majority of your vehicle break-ins are going to be juveniles breaking into unlocked vehicles. What they do, if there's a vehicle of them, they'll go around trying these door handles. They'll pick a street and they'll go down the street. If they find one open and there's a key in there, they're probably going to take that car, and then they're going to use it to commit more crimes. Yeah, don't get me started. So that's why every time I come to a meeting or every time I'm talking to somebody, you probably get tired of me saying it, but I'm going to say it because my captain wants me to. And I think it's important. Just remember, we're doing the 9 p.m. routine and making sure our doors are locked. It takes 2 minutes. Hit that button, make sure it's locked.
2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Yeah, even better. Yeah, making sure it's locked, taking a quick scan. If you see something, give us a shout. If not, you're locked up, good to go. And it gives you a little sense of peace, helps you sleep, right? So anything you can do to help us out with that would be greatly appreciated.
So there's not an uptick in like other activities?
There's
enticing the youth to do?
there's
Just the availability is there.
there's been an uptick in juvenile crime in the past year, 2 years in terms of a lot of it's motor vehicle theft related. They're going in, making sure we're locking it and not leaving valuables, purses, anything like that. So I would say it's mostly that, but again, a lot of times when they're getting these firearms, stolen firearms, they can be using it to commit other crimes in terms of armed robberies, or if you're going out and you hear some shots fired, especially early in the morning, 3 a.m., that's probably kids who just found a gun in an unlocked vehicle and they're testing it out. So,
Bet those people don't report that to their insurance, do they? That'd be so stupid.
well, again, you never know. Yeah, you never know. But yeah, if you all could help us out, that would be great. And does anybody have anything else? No? Good. Stay safe. It's going to be a little rough out there Wednesday, Thursday. So be careful. If you don't have to be out, try not to be. I have to be out, unfortunately. But we'll be there for you if you need anything. Thank you all very much for your time. Thanks, Gene.
Thank you so much for coming. All right, so next we have 2 special guests, but maybe 3, because I see another face I recognize. But first special guest I want to announce is Tiesha Mosley. She is the Director of Community Engagement, and I understand some things have moved around, so you can explain that to us. And she's got a presentation, which we're gonna figure out how to make work. Did we just tell it to go on?
It lost signal, so you may have to sign back in.
Oh, there we go.
Good evening, everybody. How are y'all doing? Hey. I see the faces, don't hear the voices. My name is Tiesha Mosley. I am, as Jean stated, with the Community Engagement Department. I'm a native of Raleigh. I was born and raised here. So was my father, my grandmother, who's still with us. So I really, really love this city. Before I get started, I do want to acknowledge that y'all are special. You have 2 council members here tonight. You have Councilmember Corey Branch, District C, in which Lions Park is in, and you have Councilmember Councilmember Christina Jones of District E. So any questions that I can't answer, they can, okay? All right. We're going to get started, and I do have a copy of this presentation over there on the table. It's a lot of information, so if I'm going too fast, stop me, but I don't want to keep you long for 30 slides, okay? All right, let's get started. So I was asked to come here today to talk about the department. Its inception is new. We are a new department as of January 1st of this year. And however, community engagement is not new to the city of Raleigh. So in the 1990, 2016, there was the Community Services Department. It included the the programs that you see there, and then it became the Community Engagement Division in 2016. And then it changed a little bit, becoming Neighborhood Enrichment Services. That led to the Community Engagement Office, and now the Community Engagement Department. So it's really a lot of the same work, just bundled into one department. What we do, we foster strong connections, amplify underrepresented voices, support local leadership, and more. Miss Helen here is actually, I'll talk about a project later with the DMV, the former DMV site. Helen serves on our project working group, which is something that's also in the Community Engagement Department. We have 5 divisions, 18 plus programs and initiatives that we're responsible for, 21 full-time staff, 13 part-time, and 4 fellows. This just kind of shows you what we look like as a department, and I'm going to go into these programs here at the bottom is where I'll spend most of the time. So in our youth services division, we are actually accepting applications right now for Raleigh Summer Youth Employment. So you can go online if there's applicants between 15 and 18 that you know, they can apply for a summer job with the city of Raleigh. So they can do something traditional, which is in person. There's a hybrid option, and there's also a virtual option for that program. Also in youth services, we have our Partnership Raleigh program, which includes one that I talked earlier about having 4 fellows in the department. The fellows fall in the pathways to public service. And so that's for college seniors, graduate students between 17 and 25, and they get jobs with City of Raleigh departments. And I think about 80%, maybe it's a little higher, of those individuals end up getting full-time jobs with the city. So that's a really cool program. And this also includes our community climate interns who work in natural resources, engineering, etc. Sorry, I'm blocking your view. Let me back up a little bit. In youth services, we also have digital inclusion program. They have a lot of really, really neat opportunities with their digital connectors and digital ambassadors. The one that I love the most, and I'm probably not supposed to say that, but it's called Advice About Your Device, where these young folks meet with different members of the community and they answer all questions about like your iPhone or your Android or your computer. So that's a really cool initiative that we're actually about to start taking mobile. So we'll take our engagement vehicle out to do advice about a device in different communities. Let's see, they said about the average time spent one-on-one with Raleigh with each resident is about an hour and a half. So we have that over at the Pathway Center is where our department's located, and that's on South Wilmington Street.
Quick question. For the digital inclusion, is that, so a youngster that's about to turn 14, what would she need to do to be part of that?
Yep, I'll give you our department's contact information at the end, and if you just send an email, I can get you in contact with you. That's actually Yanira Campos there, and she can let you know where she is with her application cycle. Our neighborhood services division has our Citizens Leadership Academy. Is anybody familiar with that in the room? I see some head nods, a couple. So that is a 9-week course that teaches leadership development. They also talk about asset-based community developments and is really building leaders into the community. Applications just closed on the 15th for this spring class. So they had 19 students in the fall. I think we're taking 19 to 20. That's usually the number that we try to stay around. So be on the lookout for that. We also have the Raleigh Neighborhood Registry. So that is for neighborhoods to have access to get more involved in the decisions that affect them. We have about 342 neighborhoods that are represented. They also get access to things like if you want to have an event in your neighborhood, like a cotton candy machine, a popcorn machine. Being a part of the Raleigh Neighborhood Registry also gives you access to funds that you can use for different events in your neighborhood as well. So those equipment rentals, and it's more than popcorn and cotton candy, but it's games, tons of different fun things for you and your neighborhood. So I talked about funding for those that are a part of the Raleigh Neighborhood Registry. There are two different levels of funding. The first is $250, and that's just like our carrot trying to get you to come and participate. But once you sign up to be a registered neighborhood, it goes up to $1,000. And so if you're unclear about if your neighborhood is a part of the registry, we can get you the information. Yes, sir.
What are some examples of things you've done with that money?
Yep, so this photo is where I was going next. In the Starmount neighborhood, they wanted some, they didn't have lights around their sign, so this is actually one of the projects that have been done. There's been, what do they call it? Not bookmobiles, stationary, grab a book, leave a books. There's been, yeah, thank you. There's been community gardens, there's been block parties, a lot of, I would say most neighborhoods, it's like in the summertime where they want to have an event, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. All right, we also have a business services division, which you can guess they handle all of our administrative and financial components of the department. We have a lot of grants, they do a lot of budget management, and really just the overall portfolio when it comes to anything financial is handled in our business services unit. Here are like the different type of funds that we offer our business services unit and make sure that the books are balanced at the end of the day. And then they also do the grants management for the department. Our fourth division is community partnerships. So this is a new division. So remember I told you that the department itself is new. So we took the Office of Community Engagement and what was the Neighborhood Enrichment Services Division and combined them. And we identified a lot of similarities in the work that was being done across those two, the office and the department, and that created the Community Partnerships Division. A couple of the programs there. So one is our Community Connectors Program. So these are individuals that live in Raleigh or from Raleigh. They work primarily on the New Bern Avenue BRT corridor, and they're paid to share information with residents about what's the happenings of the city, and they also bring information and concerns back to staff so that we can go address them as to what they're hearing in the community. The engagement network is for grassroots community organizations. It's very similar to the Raleigh Neighborhood Registry, which is neighborhood-based. The engagement network isn't based off your neighborhood. It's based off what type of topic or what type of area of specialty that an organization has. So again, small nonprofits, grassroots organizations, they also get access to spaces like this to host meetings. We offer some equipment to them like a projector or a screen, and then they also, now that we're a department, have access to those same popcorn machines, cotton candy machines, things like that. So there's a lot of equipment that you can use in the registry. So if you're a neighborhood, it's the Raleigh Neighborhood Registry. If you know about organizations like the Men of Southeast Raleigh or different groups that may not be large or they may not be a $1 million nonprofit, more small, then we have opportunities for them in the engagement network. And just some more here, we have a Raleigh Neighborhood College, which is like the Citizens Leadership Academy, except it's teaching you about the functions of local government, how do things work, the operational and administrative side of it. Volunteer Raleigh, Hispanic Latino initiatives. So I mentioned earlier how we're gonna take our advice about a device program mobile. So currently we do have a community engagement van that neighborhoods can request we come and bring information to you about a specific topic. Also, we as staff take that vehicle out to share information, and then city departments also use the community engagement van to reach people where they are. This visual is the one that's coming to us this year. Thank goodness, it's been a long journey. The artist is actually from Raleigh and designed it based off of her experience from being here. So this will be our mobile city hall. This one will actually, so our current van is like a cargo van, Whereas this is going to have workstations, Wi-Fi, it's going to be ADA compliant. It has like an awning for us to really have a mobile city hall. So we have tons of good ideas that we're really excited about rolling out this year for that. This is a big division. I told y'all it was new. It's a lot, right? This also has we had our first Engage Raleigh Expo last year. We had about 400 participants that came, so it was really neat. So this photo that you see down here is tabling. We had over 60 organizations that came out to table. There were concurrent workshops about city events. We also had a luncheon that celebrated 20 years of our Raleigh Neighborhood Exchange. And then we also have a foster grandparents program where seniors 55 and older volunteer to work in the schools to support and mentor them. All right, last division, organizational development. These are the folks that work primarily with city departments on different programs and initiatives that they have. So if a department has a project that's going to impact a community or requires the input of community members to help them make a decision, this is the folks that provide guidance and strategic support to city departments. So something like I mentioned, the former DMV site, that's something that is housed in our organizational development department, or when we were having engagement around missing middle, around BRT, sustainability, most city departments work with us to do that. We also have a community engagement board, and this division supports the liaisons of all 20 boards and commissions in the city of Raleigh. Again, notable projects that this division, you may have heard of Raleigh creating an alternative response program, which is now called Raleigh Cares. That was one of the projects that this division supported. The city strategic plan, the next comprehensive plan. So those are just notable projects. There's probably 80 to 100 at this point that we've done in just 3 years. All right, so CACs. We also, in our community engagement department, help CACs reserve certain community centers with the city of Raleigh. It's a quick 3-step process. There's a reservation form that is completed that tells us just basic information about what the CAC wants to do and host the meeting. And then our staff works with Raleigh Parks to find the date and ensure that it's available. And then our staff will reach back out to the CAC and say your meeting is confirmed. So that's handled in our office too. We do ask that the request be made 2 weeks in advance, that you allow 3 to 4 business days just so that we can figure out the logistics. And we do ask that CACs not contact the centers directly because that prevents us from tracking. It sometimes causes confusion. So CACs are special and they have their own process to help you all attain community centers for meetings. So I'll leave this up on the screen. This is the mailbox for the department. Any questions about anything that I just shared, you can ask me tonight, or if you think about it later, you can contact us via email, or that's our phone number there. That was a lot. Any questions? I hear a laugh, but not a question. Okay. Thank y'all so much. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the council members in the room. Who wants to take the mic? Councilmember Jones. All right.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Jones. I am the District E City Councilor. Runs, just like Ms. Mosley said, from 5 Points all the way up to Durham. So I have this really long district out there. The reason I'm here tonight is because I want to talk about CACs, really even more specifically. Just a little bit of background about me. I started my CAC journey back in 2016. I ran Northwest CAC from 2017 until 2022, and then I was the chair for the entire organization from 2019 until I ran and became a city councilor in 2022. I have a lot of knowledge about how we got here. I don't want to, I'm not sure how much everybody knows about how we did get here, so I'll give you a brief overview and then open it up for questions, because we're on a great path to bringing things back, and I really appreciate your participation here tonight. And seeing what our volunteers and our leaders are doing is exactly what CACs are intended to do. We want to make sure that we remain that conduit of information between residents and their government. So with that, in 2020, we were dismantled, and at that point, I had just become chair, and I was like, what? This vote just went through, it was kind of crazy. But what that did is it pretty much set a bomb in CAC structure. We had been part of the city, we had analysts, we had all of these things. So if you'd been part of us, you remember how it was. When that was dismantled, it was nothing, so it was rubble. And it took years until last year, February of last year, to begin to have that conversation. Once we started, before we made that motion, I was talking with CAC leadership, of which Mark is part of, and I said, you know, what do you guys want? I know what you want. I cannot promise you all the things. I can't just wave a magic wand and bring it back, because that costs the city a lot of money. You know, whether that's salaries for the people, the analysts who were here, and we needed, so we got down to 3 requests from CACs. One was that community center space, which Ms. Mosley just discussed. The second was a Zoom membership. And then the third was in those 2 classes, Raleigh Neighborhood College and Citizens Leadership Academy, there was a request to help recruit new people and teach them about what the structure of CACs were. And so with those 3, we were able to get a unanimous vote to bring them back. There are things that were missing, one of them being the zoning, and that was something that we had to talk about and say, hey, let's not right now at this moment, let's bring it back slowly. And so that's where we came to agreement with CACs. That's how we got the motion in place. And then staff did a presentation in April, and I asked, hey, were CACs included in that conversation? And they said no, and I said, okay, cool, well now we're gonna. And so both, it was 3 of us, it's Mr. Turner, Mr. Lane, Dr. Lane, and the chair, Robert Rice, started meeting in May of last year, and we met monthly to say, hey, what do we want this organization to look like? What do we want it to be? There were options within the city engagement network, or the community engagement network that Ms. Mosley just went over, and CACs were kind of like, oh, that's not exactly what I want. You know, we want something that's similar to what we had. This only offered, I think, 8. They wanted 12 meetings, you know, monthly meetings. So there were some compromises we had to make and say, okay, can we do 10? Can we take, you know, your summer and your winter breaks off and give you 10 opportunities to meet? And so we came to some compromises in that, and one of those that was a really big deal was I want to go back to the Zoom membership. So in that Zoom membership last May, right now CACs own that, and they had asked, you know, can we include that and to be paid for it? What happened is we have some Zoom bombings, and if you're unclear of what that means, the first time it happened, we had somebody pretty much break in and say horribly racist and offensive things that we had to shut down the meeting in order to close it off because it wasn't stopping. After that happened, and I happened to be at that meeting, I was like, whoa, this is kind of opening us up to this potential liability for the city. And we talked to our legal department, we opened up that conversation with our leadership team at our CAC, and we're like, I cannot promise you that. For that was number 1. And the other reason I can't promise you that is because you don't have an entity to accept the funds. Because you are a grassroots organization, I can't just write a check to Mark Turner. I can't just be like, here's some money, I hope you spend it on Zoom. I can't do that. And so for those reasons, we explained that we had to remove that as one of the 3. So the 3 opportunities now came to those 2. And we're working on the leadership and the Raleigh Neighborhood College aspect. But in the meantime, we got the CAC's access to the majority of our community centers. There are some due to scheduling conflicts and really busy centers that can't. So we're working through that with some CACs that would prefer to be at different at locations. But we got to that point, and then we said, all right, well, let's work on your ability to accept funds. Do you guys want to be your own 501c3? And that's a heavy lift. Everyone here is volunteers, and to ask somebody to transition to that where it's this yearly reporting and everything, that wasn't something they were ready to do. It's not to say that they never will, it's that at this moment they were not ready to take that on. So I said, okay, cool. Why don't we talk to some other nonprofits that are already in existence? And then maybe you can partner with them. So we talked to City of Oaks, and they decided that wasn't an opportunity that worked for them either. So I said, all right, well, why don't we make you a board, just like Community Engagement Board, and we'll put just right now as a liaison role. So you have a counselor there. You will have a direct access to be able to have that conversation and request things from council, but there won't be staff support at this time. We can build it up. And so there we came to an agreement. We said, you know what, let's try that. We were able to put that in front of council, and council said, yeah, let's do it. We held off naming the liaison because when we approved that, it was in August of last year, and we had that whole election thing going on. And so we didn't know who was gonna be in this role, and we didn't want it to switch. So we said, all right, well, why don't you guys work on a survey, getting not just your opinions, but everybody who attends your meetings, their opinions on what they wanna see CACs become. What is most important on your list? Is it having an analyst here, community analyst? And if that's what the whole CACs want, now we have to talk to our community engagement department and see how we can budget and fold that into that year or next year's budget, because everything pretty much is allocated in this year's budget. So it's not something that I can snap and just change financial promises. But if we'd like to bake it in to the next year's budget, that's what these conversations are going towards. So that is where we are right now. And we are resuming. I was just in January, so just a few weeks ago, made the CAC liaison. So I'm super happy. I have a lot of institutional knowledge of how this has gone. And we're working to find a time that works best for the leadership committee and our staff and me to resume those monthly meetings and then really review the data. They brought a survey that had 600, I think it was 600 responses, and it's amazing. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that's a fantastic number to bring us some help getting the word out and getting feedback to us. So we're gonna have that conversation, we're gonna see what those requests are, and then we're gonna have a really foundational discussion of where do we start? What is the most important and how do we get there? So I promise you, CACs have not been forgotten. We adore our CACs. I know there's some misinformation out there of saying that we are not going as fast. We are working together, and sometimes that's slow. But I really feel confident that we're on the right track, and I'm excited to see where we go. But with all of that, because that also was a lot, do you have any questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
What would a community analyst do? And are you talking about one community analyst for all CACs, or each CAC has their own part of what they're doing?
So I'm not talking about community analysts at all, because that has not been requested. What I'm telling you is that that's what we used to have. We used to have, I think the number for the 18 CACs, I think we had 6 community analysts total, and CACs were not their only job. So they did other things as well.
So they were Raleigh staff?
Yes, they were Raleigh staff. And so if that is a request that CACs would like to see again, we would have to be able to financially make that make sense and talk to our department and say, is there a bandwidth that your current staff can take on to resume CACs, or is that a different full-time employee that we would have to hire? So
What type of things did they do?
they booked space, they kept minutes, they kept track of so the 6 community analysts had multiple CACs. You may have 3 CAC meetings that you had to attend each month. And in there, you're doing all the logistics, all the behind the scenes bookings. If you had a meeting that was over the allotted, like 30 people, now it was the staff analyst job to go find that spot. One time I had a meeting that was 237 people, and we were normally 10. Like, normally 10 people came out to our meetings, but thankfully I didn't have to worry about that. Our community analysts went and rented a middle school in order to do that. So those are the kinds of things, in addition to the other work that they did they were in housing and neighborhoods at the time, they had other assignments, they folded that work into it.
They also sent out a newsletter.
They did, yes, you're right,
Once upon a time, not everybody had an email address.
Once upon a time, now we all do, but yes, they were in charge of sending out communications to the current people who were signed up as well, which now is a lot of work for our amazing volunteers to do. We're a grassroots organization, but that is a lot to do. That's why we need your help.
Don't have those names and addresses and information.
You mean the email addresses from before?
Yeah, all the names of people who were in.
Well, it is hit or miss because some do have those names and lists and some don't. So that's where we're trying to work with each other, and people had signed up for something that doesn't exist anymore. So it's hard to say, okay, here's that information. We can't just hand that back. So we're in the process of finding all of that out, but you are right. Yes, some CACs have those lists and some do not. Any other questions that I can answer for you? Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. My email is just first last, christina.jones@raleighnc.gov. If you have any other questions, I have a lot of things I could say, but I'm not going to bore you with all those details tonight. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys for stepping up. It's really important to help us get the message out, and so thank you all for coming out. I will hand this over to Mr. Branch, Mr. Counselor Branch.
Thank you, Counselor Jones. How you all doing? I'm not going to be before you too long. She took care of the CACs, so if there's any questions, I am here. When we had 18 CACs, I had 8 of the 18. And so I know a lot about the inner workings of the CACs as well. I remember when Mark was chair, then he left, and Ms. Ford was here, and now Mark's back. So thank you and Jean, I'm glad you have help. But thank you both for stepping up and for your work. And the interesting part is this is about what we averaged. No pre-CACs going away, but I'm glad they're back. A lot of good information. A couple things I want to share is I've started back my District C meetings, and I did an interesting thing. I actually moved it to a day of the week. It was actually last week. It was last Wednesday. And I did it at Santa Fe Road Park. And I had about 12 people who actually attended. Historically, I was doing them on Saturdays, and on Saturdays, I was averaging about 3. So I will have another District C meeting probably in April, because my goal in March is to have a town hall. The town hall, I'm working with our city staff to schedule that now. At the town hall, my goal is to have the city manager at the meeting, the mayor at the meeting, any other counselors who want to attend, but also different departments at the meeting as well. It's almost similar to Engage Raleigh a little bit, but I won't be as robust. But I don't have the date set yet. I'll make sure you all receive it once I have everything solidified, and I have all the people who I need to speak there as well. So working to fine tune that going forward. A lot has happened here. I know you had the police officers, Officer Hinton come, provide some information. One thing I will say is, in lieu of the CAC, when it wasn't meeting, I know we had neighborhood and community meetings here to address some of the activities and things that were happening around this community and this park. I've not received any calls or emails lately, so I'm praying things are better as far as everything that's going on. But those are some of the things that I continue to do. If y'all have a meeting, or if you have your neighborhood associations that have a meeting, feel free to invite me. If I'm available, I will work to be there. Again, New Bern Avenue, we're still working on that. BRT, we just received a presentation, what was about 2-3 weeks ago, as far as BRT, putting it back out to bid, hopefully later this year, to try to move that project forward. So we're still moving forward with bus rapid transit along New Bern Avenue. Also, I will share that other communities, Durham and Chapel Hill, are also looking at bus rapid transit in their communities. So we're not, even though we're the first, we're not alone. Other communities are looking at other ways to improve transportation. We're in the middle of our budget process. We actually had a budget meeting today, our first one, at 4 o'clock earlier today. Our next meeting is March 10th. In which we'll receive some more information. The official budget will be presented May 20th. May 20th is when the budget will be daylighted, and there will be a work session in June, and there will be a public hearing at our very first meeting in June. It will be at 7 p.m. So where individual community members, we ask you, if you have any questions, concerns, you can come and speak there, but this is what I will say. Don't wait until that first meeting in June. As soon as the budget comes out, if you hear some things or have some questions, reach out to us as council members first. as soon as possible. And the reason why I say that is because after that public hearing, that very next Monday will be another budget meeting. There's no guarantee that we will approve it, but that is the earliest we can approve it. And I think that date is June 9th. I think June 2nd is the first budget meeting, the first budget not public hearing. The public hearing is June 3rd. There's a budget meeting on the 3rd in which we will receive budget notes on June 2nd. June 3rd is the public hearing, and then June 9th will be the earliest we can approve the budget. So please, if there's anything you would like to hear, one thing I do want to mention, we talked about funding for the CACs. I pray any requests can come, let's talk, they can come within the next month or so, because otherwise you're gonna have to wait a whole another year for any funding for CACs. And with that, I kind of try to hit some hot topics that I know have come up in previous meetings. Are there any questions? I really came here tonight as your city council member to hear if you get any questions, concerns for me to address. Yes, ma'am.
How is your meeting advertised? Because a little over a week ago, I wrote and said, what happened to your meetings? And Jonathan said you were starting back soon, and I would certainly get an invitation, and I didn't.
So Jonathan is no longer my analyst, so there might have been a cross of me receiving your email from that meeting. But historically, what I do is I make an announcement at a city council meeting. So that's one step. I have shared it on Facebook page, and I'm going to add it to my website. That's one part that I did miss this last meeting was the website push, but I did make the announcement at the city council meetings that lead up to the meeting. But the other way is me informing you all now about the meeting as well.
Last year, I used to get direct emails, but I guess
You did.
email something or other, because that's how I find out about it.
Okay. We'll talk and follow up because I think I know where you may have gotten those emails from. And there was a platform change on my website, so I need to get that out and make sure you get the information.
I would love to get emails too for that, because knowing myself, the ways you explained, I'm not gonna.
So the other thing I can say is you can go to my website, it's corybranch.com, and just sign up there and for the newsletter, and then I'm going to start sending information out based on that newsletter. Because our meetings, the staff can't share the District C meetings through the city services because they're not technically a city meeting. It's us as counselors doing it because they're not required. Not all counselors do them. Not all counselors do them every month.
Well, I get wonderful ones from JDS, and I'm not even.
Yeah, it's probably her listserv. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. And please be safe. Like the officer said, if you don't have to go out the next couple of days, please stay home.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. So y'all have not been very feisty tonight, so things are going really fast. But I just wanted to open up the floor to see if anybody has questions, announcements. Just if you want to get feisty, please feel free to, but don't get too excited.
Yeah, I just wanted to encourage people to, if you haven't done the former DMV site survey, to go to the city website and do that, because it's still open for the rest of the month. So that and let us know what you think about what should go there. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, okay.
I did text the owner of the building. He said he'll work ASAP to clean it up.
Oh, great. Awesome. Okay, mission accomplished. We got something done today. All right, well, this is going to be a really fast meeting if no one else. Yes, please.
Not for the group, but for our council, you mentioned the BRT, that's that new project they've got going up New Bern
Yes,
Avenue.
ma'am.
What's the status of, can you talk about the status of that?
Thank you. So Bus Rapid Transit right now, we put it out to bid last year and we received no bids. We put it out, we made some changes, we put it out to bid again, and we received one bid, and it was extremely high. So we rejected that bid. So we're in the process now of splitting up the project a little bit and putting it back out to bid in parts. And once that, we're thinking late spring, early summer, to put one of the bids back out, and depending on the response from that, we'll determine the next steps.
So those bids are for somebody to do the.
To actually build it, the road.
Going up New Bern? Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. I'm sure all this is out on the Raleigh website, right?
Yes, ma'am.
RNC, okay. Cause I just made an observation, riding up and down New Bern Avenue, that I noticed several of our established home sites are for sale signs on them now. And I don't know if this pending project.
That's private,
There's like,
yeah.
the easement, you know, the stuff that they have to do to get stuff done, they dig up the property and do whatever they need to do. I don't know if any of that is impacted.
Would you wanna live there while that's going on?
I would not either, but I mean, it's just, I mean, you know, it's a project that I'm sure will help the city, of course, but,
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is connecting the entire city. This is the first of 4 legs. So we're also looking at Western Boulevard and going towards Cary, and South Wilmington Street going towards Garner. So those 2 are soon to be moved forward as well. But we're also dependent, we know we have federal funding for the New Bern Avenue corridor. We have that funding. So that funding we have, we're not sure about the funding for the other corridors, so that may impact those timelines, because we can't do the project without the federal dollars. Some of the contracting companies that we would use, they're out west getting state contracts, rebuilding I-40 and things, and other roads throughout in the Asheville area and the community. So we think that that's some impact. And so staff is going to look a little bit out of state in some of the communities that have already built bus rapid transit. Richmond is one example where they do have bus rapid transit up and running down one segment.
I just don't want I don't know how to put it, the neighborhood, I mean, the houses that have been there, they were stable.
So, yeah, so
Lose that.
which homes are you, so you're talking from Raleigh Boulevard heading towards Wake Med?
Wake Med going south towards downtown. I just made an observation that there were several homes that recently have for sale signs on them, and I just don't want to lose the character of.
So let me speak to the design of bus rapid transit. So from downtown up to where Pool Road comes in, the road is really not gonna widen. The bus lane is gonna be have its own dedicated lane. So right now there's 3 travel lanes. It might go down to 2 in that area. Then once you get to where Pool Road comes into New Bern Avenue, all the way up to Wake Med, it's gonna run in the median. So it's going to be in the median, yeah. So it's going to go into the median, and then once it gets to the bridge, it's going to go back into traffic and go up to Walmart. So no, we are not taking any property to build the New Bern Avenue leg. Yeah, other than the right of way.
Other than we're losing our trees in the center of the road.
Plant some more.
Yeah, so.
Plant some more,
And those are not native either.
They're not native trees, okay. Well, I've learned something new.
Yeah, if they're Bradford pears, get rid of them, but.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're basically wrapping up, so unless somebody has anything important to say. Okay, basically I wanted to pitch our next few meetings. On March 24th, we are going to have a traffic safety meeting, which I know is a pretty hot topic with everybody. So Sean Driscoll is gonna come talk about Vision Zero, which I'm really pumped about. Like, I've seen his presentation, y'all are gonna love it. And then April 21st, I haven't figured anything out yet, because I was gonna try to get the sidewalk people to come, but they do not wanna come. Or actually, they gave me homework and told me to talk to our council people about, I guess, giving them more money and less work. I will not be doing that. I guess, well, I told you now. So I need to figure out a special guest. I was thinking maybe recycling people because they also have a really fun presentation. And also, none of us know what we're doing when it comes to recycling. Like, everybody you meet has a different idea of what you can recycle, and none of it's true.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
Excuse. So I'm pulling it up right now, but if you don't already have it, please go to your app store and download the Raleigh Reuse app. It is called Raleigh Reuse, and here it will tell you everything you can recycle. It tells you you can put it in your dates, it has your recycling and your garbage dates, it gives you alerts so you don't forget, and you have a whole list of things you can look through. So trying to make this easier for people to understand what you can, because I know it's confusing, but this went live about a year ago, and it's a really great resource. So Raleigh Reuse, please go ahead and download that. Sorry.
That's awesome.
April's Earth Day,
Oh,
and people are interested in trees.
yes. And actually, I was thinking maybe getting my dad to come talk about trees because he's really into that. He knows what he's talking about. It sounds like I just want my dad to come talk about stuff. So
I'm a city arborist, so the city has a plan, and when we talk about native trees and what's not native, we made some adjustments last year-ish
okay,
to that plan and approved it, so you may be able to reach out to city staff.
okay, yeah, I'd love that.
Utilize our department, so if there are civic departments that you want to come to your meetings, our office can help you identify their best staff
Oh, okay. Tell me who to actually talk to. I love that. Okay, cool. I love the idea of trees, so I'm going to work on that, and then I guess backup can be recycling and.
Not getting them cut down too.
Yes, yes. So let's specify about not cutting down trees.
The ones that are, we're no longer the city of Oaks much anymore.
I 100% agree, and I also think that, on small developments, there's no rules about which trees you have to keep, and I think we need to do something about that. Very strong feelings. Okay, love that idea. Thank you so much. And wait, my phone decided to stop. Okay, and then we actually do have a plan for March 19th meeting. The stormwater folks are going to come, and they're going to talk about the Pigeon House watershed study, which is like our zone, and that's Sherry Smith. Okay, so I think I have my marching orders. Thank you all so much for coming. I forgot to introduce Mark Turner, but you guys know who he is. So.
Was the last one March 19th?
May 19th, sorry. Okay, so yeah, March 24th, traffic, April 21st, maybe trees, and May 19th, stormwater. Yeah. All right, heck yeah. Thanks, guys.
Can I just
Yes.
make one more thing? Just wanted to quickly say we've got a liaison over at St. Augustine's who is really enthusiastic about coming and talking to us about their plans once they figure out what those plans are. And they're totally, of course, in flux. Yeah. So, but they really do want to engage in the community. So as soon as we hear from them that they've got something to talk about, we'll make sure that they come out in front of us. Okay? Thanks.
Yeah.
And then one last thing, we have a new police chief that will be starting. We're in the process of looking for, but our current police chief, her last day is February 28th. So Chief Patterson is retiring. We are so proud of her and proud of the work that she's done. But we are in the process of finding our next police chief, which won't be until after that.
And there's a survey
Okay.
online now that you can complete for any questions you want to ask the 3 finalists.
Oh,
that
cool.
were selected. And the 3 finalists will have a forum at Martin Marietta on February 24th.
Okay.
So the process is moving kind of quickly.
I guess so, if she's retiring this month.
Well, she announced in December. So.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all.